We've got John Buck and Dr. Allie Dake. They're going to be coming out to our first summit in San Diego at the Veterans First Office and the Padres game in early April. So we thought it would be useful and fun for us to bring them on and let them tell a little bit about themselves and give the agents a little insight in who's going to be speaking and who they're going to be getting to know. So, Allie, do you want to go first and just kind of introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Allie Dake, excuse me, and probably first and foremost and most important, I'm a mom of four beautiful, amazing kids. I have 3 boys and 1 girl, all active and doing off in their own right, very successful from military to college graduate, PhD, and an upcoming softball player, awesome. College athlete coming up. Very proud of my kiddos, and let's see, I guess I have a doctorate in leadership development and many postgraduate certificates in neuropsychology, human development, anxiety and PTSD certified. I love all things that are neurological and brain and how we think and how we move about in the world and how we see our life. I don't know what else you want to know.
We'll add.
That's fine. I'm going to ask you plenty of questions too.
Okay, I like that better.
Yeah, I'll ask you plenty of questions. That was just a perfect little intro. John, would you like to?
I'll just go off where Allie is. Just go off on her. I grew up around. I was born in Wyoming. Excuse me. Grew up in Salt Lake City. Taylorsville High School, around baseball and stuff, Taylorsville, Kearns, obviously where you guys are from, or Jeremy is anyways. And Allison was really instrumental in my development as a child, just because I was dyslexic and had to go to resource class, had trouble reading, and she turned something that was a negative of mine into a positive. And I know that if I learned through her through someone, all her little mind voodoo tricks that she did on me when I was 11 or 12 or whatever, that buying into, if I could conquer my dyslexia and make it a positive and like get the work ethic and all the cool things that she pulls out of a challenge. She did that for me when I was younger in junior high, with just reading and conquering that and getting to where I could be eligible for ACTs and all that stuff that nobody really sees. They just see the big baseball stars. So she was a lot of behind the dish, off the fields, excuse me, type of stuff, help for me when I was younger, when I was 11, 12, before anybody thought about being the baseball guy, right? So those skills that she did and laid the foundation for me, I without a doubt, you two both know me. She laid that foundation when I was young on self-improvement and how to address challenges and hard stuff in your life. And me being dyslexic and having that trouble when I was younger in school, she was there for that. And those lessons that she gave me were same things I kept showing up in life. So after I had the same challenges in the big leagues and doing stuff that was almost to the elementary root of the same stuff she was teaching me young, but a little bit more heightened focused in certain arenas with baseball, but for the most part, it was the same structure of tools and things that she gave me when I was younger to deal with all that stuff and kind of fell forward. So a little to brag on Allie there for my cousin. I played baseball for 11 years, 11 and a half, 12 years in the major leagues. I was Jeremy Lambert's probably my best friend on the planet. From here, I start to cry. Paul's death to being there. Ooh, this early in the thing. It's always the Paul. It's always the Paul thing.
It's always Paul.
It gets me too. It gets me too, brother. You're all right.
Right. So I got to think about something else. So Jeremy was the guy that was the throwing partner that. I think he referred to Malone as he was having trouble here getting the computer going. Hey, Johnny's going to red Jeep you. So he was with me in the fall league when I was like on my Jeep when it wouldn't roll right after an 0 for 4. So Jeremy got to see me want to maybe drive my Jeep off the side, angry after a game. So these things like these real life experiences. Jeremy's been there. Why he's seeing me have an all-star, he's seeing this stuff happening, but he's also seeing me have to deal with kids in the NIC unit. You know, mom passing away, brother suicide. So, you know, Jeremy's been that person that's been, I don't know. He's more than a brother. So when he asked me to come do this, it was like, hell yeah. So let's let my why factor, let's blend these together and motivate your team. I know I've been in and around. I think a lot of you guys out in those other offices, guys. I brought in Jim Fannin. He was somebody that I employed at one point to make me better and deal with. I had some yips things going on, some neurological things that Allie can address too later as we go on the show. But yeah, there's, you know, a lot of my why factors of the brain and neurological has to do with Allie and lumping those into leadership skills and things that pertain to business and things that help me get over reading seem to be the same way that they help your brain even hit a baseball if you do them correctly.
Well, I agree, John, and I absolutely feel the same way about you, brother. I mean, John's been so instrumental in a lot of people's lives, and I don't know any two better people than these two people on this podcast with us right now. Malone's in the same boat. I mean, they've personally helped me through many things, you know, professionally, personally, family life. They are great people, and we couldn't be happier to have them join us with this summit. And Allie and I have talked multiple times on 100 different levels, and we think the world of her. And we were so excited that they said yes to be able to come to this and just hopefully impact some other people. I mean, you guys both have a special gift, and we're just excited to have you. So
honestly, I'm excited to learn and hear about it. I've mentioned before, but we've done some mental strength coaching. I've done a lot of reading on this kind of stuff, and I'm very big on if you're putting negativity out there, you're going to receive negativity back, right? And if you're putting out positive and working hard, you're doing the things you should be doing, things tend to work out better for you, you know. And a lot of that is mindset, a lot of that is perception, a lot of that is support. You know, going back to kind of what John said and what Jeremy said, none of us can do this alone. It goes to show how important it is and how much it means to John that he could lean on Jeremy and rely on Jeremy in tough times, you know. And it's important for people to recognize that they have those people around them and then utilize them, right?
Oh, and I've done it for him. He knows that. I've called him at 3 a.m. He's answered the phone. I mean, a lot of people don't, and JB knows. I mean, he knows. So
well, I think I had Jim Fannin. I think I had you guys that I brought to I think maybe I brought him even to Kevin. Maybe it was one of his places, but he had a board of advisors. You know, even this is when I was an athlete still, like, hey, who's your board of advisors? What are you talking about, my board of advisors? Because no, your board of advisors of your character, like the people who keep you in line. Who are the people who are going to love on you, but love you so much to be like, hey, John, it's kind of bullshit right there. We just did, you know. Those people are the true people, and having that board of advisors is, I think, crucial to any successful person.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't agree more.
Can't have people telling you what you want to hear all the time.
Well, and Allie, you know, I get to see what
you could, but you're not going to get very far.
It's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
And in youth sports, I get to see the actual direct impact that Allie's making on a lot of these young women. I see in women because we share a common bond. We have daughters that are similar ages, Allie and I, and we get to talk about that. And I get to bounce a lot of ideas off of her that she gets to say, Jeremy, okay, stop for a second. We had one last week. She goes, okay, I really like the way you're handling this. And that made me feel proud because you know what? I appreciate her opinion and it's valued. So, you know, let's talk about that a little bit too, Allie. Maybe some of the things that you do, you know, I mean, in the professional world, we've talked a lot about in the athletes, but just some of the stuff that you've done on that professional side too.
So, oh my gosh, there's a lot there. Probably I'm going to start with coming from a very value-centric integrity, full of integrity and very intentional space in all things that you do. I have a lot of, as more of a life coach, scenarios where I work with professionals in all different fields that they want to stand true to their values. They want to have integrity, learning to stand up for that, learning who you are. I love not only helping somebody realize who they are, but more importantly, who they are in hard times. When your back's against the wall and you have to make decisions, how do you stand up? How do you show up? How do you push through? People think positive affirmations and positive thinking and positive talk is all roses and that it's full of fluff. Honestly, what it is knowing that after you get through whatever you're leaning into, that there's a good solution on the other side, that you are going to make it through and find that solution. And so I do a lot of work with individuals, helping them see and make those choices, give them the tools so that they can make those choices to get through whatever it is to get on the other side and still be standing up and smiling.
And that's huge. That's huge in this business, because in this business, you get knocked down, whether it's, a client doesn't, you show them 10 houses and it's just not the one. And we all know it's not the one, but we got to go do it again. And that's one of those knockdowns where it's like, man, and after 30, 40 times of that, it's tough. I mean, at 30, 40 houses.
Yeah.
Well, I think too go ahead. Sorry, Allie. Sorry to talk over you. I think
go ahead, Dad.
You're learning how to fail as baseball. Like you're gonna suck at some point, and or you're gonna show more than one house. There's a client's never gonna see one house and be like, oh, yep, we can't. That's unrealistic. So to be able to build up a fail structure, if you will, like as you're failing forward, or it's not even perceived as failure. It's perceived. It's just like you just got one more answer to the test of selling that next house. All right, that client is you become real intuitive of like, kitchen, whatever, whatever the scenario is, that you're gaining this information the same way as I get out. I'm starting to see that pitcher's flaring his glove now on a changeup. I'm piecing together, and as I'm learning to fail, he punched me out. But as I'm going and I'm studying, I'm learning from my failures or my progress, that it's never really conceived as a failure or a loss. Or 20 houses, I gained 20 houses of experience. It's a perception difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because everybody knows that you're not going to bat 1,000, right? Everybody knows that going into the season. We recognize that. But then there's this different perception, right? There's two different angles that you can look at that, right? You can look at it as like, I struck out 8 out of 10 times, or you can look at it as I got a hit 2.5 out of 10 times, right? And that's the same way applies with a loan officer or with a real estate agent when, if our average conversion rate's about 33%, right? That means only 3 out of every 10 pre-qualified buyers we put into their hands is going to close. So there's 6.5 of them that aren't going to close. And that is substantially better than the majority of our industry. So again, you can look at it and go, we lost this deal. This sucks, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, okay, but we still got almost 4 out of 10. And that's way more than the average is going to be. We did a pretty damn good job. So it's just all about the perception. It's about, looking at it the way you're looking at it, taking those 3 or those 6.5 deals and going, how could we have maybe saved one of them? How could we have approached them? That's kind of what we do on a I'd probably say a quarterly basis as we add steps to our process. We added a 24-hour follow-up step, personal touch from our team to make sure that these deals weren't falling through the cracks, because we felt like there was a place that we could fill in that gap, right? That's us seeing that flare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's that. It's some of those stuff that Allie and I know Jeremy's heard me talk about it. That's that pregame, in-game, and post-game performance. Like you're going over like your pregame, you have your routines, your in-game, you have your things, and post-game, what you just said is like we're learning like what just happened. Why was that good? Why do I want to repeat that? What happened? Why was that almost good? And how do I make it better next time? Or whatever the case may be. I think it's gaining that process that you get real efficient. So when you don't, like whatever you don't, you end up gaining 2 or 3 sales later because you got that answer. Or in my regard, it was I got those outs later because that guy's shoulder's pulling or whatever,
Yeah. Well, and really, being in both of them, the business world and the professional athlete world really parallel each other. They really do, because you're competitive. You're trying to find out from your losses what you did. You're trying to find out from your successes what you did. What did you do right in order to be successful? How did you do that? I went out and I saw this many houses. and I showed them in this order, or, you know what I mean? If I'm a loan officer, I'm working through my clients, and the ones that I said this and this and this to was successful. You know what I mean? The ones I didn't say that to wasn't successful. So it is that pregame.
How about this?
And
Maybe it's not even that. How about the routine of who I am? This is where I know for Allison, I probably spoke in front of you because I got excited to, blurt her stuff out. Is what about on the mornings that you gave that extra half hour for yourself before you go? How does that before even listening? Are you more in tune or more in flow state before you go into work on those days that you do need to make those calls? Like, are you taking the time, the pregame beforehand, to set yourself up to succeed? Are you giving yourself a blueprint to get the most out of that call or those asks? You know what I mean? So that time with yourself, making it about you, preparing you better to be ready for who you are. You're already good enough. You're already doing these things that we're talking about. Maybe it's your preparation of you, or giving yourself time to be the best well-defined you, because you're already doing what you need to do at work. Maybe it's the pregame.
A call, I think it was last week, and we were talking. I thought about a realtor that I had worked with for a while. I talked to him when he had showed the same lady 68 houses, and every house she had said no to. And he was about at his wit's end. And we started looking, well, what are you doing? How are you showing up? What energy are you putting off? Are you trying to make the sell? Or are you really trying to find her the right place? So on the 103rd house, he was done. He called me. He wanted to quit. He had gone way into overtime, bottom of the 12th, felt like tied game, never going to win scenario. And I encouraged him not to give up, to keep just one more, just keep going. That eventually he was going to find the right house. He was finally going to hit a home run. 104th house, he finally bought it. And he was exhausted, but yet through that process, he really learned a lot about himself and patience and that personal development, like what John was talking about. Well, the next 20 clients that came, he knew exactly, they would start talking about a house, and he knew exactly what house to take them to. And they bought, like, the next 20 sales were the first time they took him to a house, because he had spent so much time in that space learning and listening and learning how to listen. So along that lines of personal development, you're right there, John.
Yeah. And then
I knew she would be going there. I knew that.
that's, when you talk about the realtor that showed them 104 homes, on the other side of that transaction was a loan officer that got them pre-qualified and was waiting and working and probably trying to boost up their credit and doing all these things. And they're going, what's this agent doing? Right. They're going, I mean, get the guy in a house already. He's told me he wants to buy,
Yep.
And that's that other perspective to where, and that's why it's important for us to see both sides, to see both perspectives on a transaction between an agent and a loan officer.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see, just the interactions you guys are going to have with the loan officers down there in San Diego. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be great. I think, tell us the website if anybody wants to go to it before, because we're going to release this before we end up having the summit. And give us the website, Allie, they can go to. I've been to it. I just want to make sure it's correct. Go ahead.
Yep. It's levelupmentalperformance.com. And there you can see our model of frameworks that we work from. You can just learn a little bit more about John and I, and some of the work that we do. We also work with first responders and veterans, and do a lot of a program we have called Healing Through Hitting, in which we, obviously what the name is implying, that we're helping heal first responders and veterans through a hitting process in baseball, of course, with John. And we teach them how to hit and how to handle stress and anxiety and pressure, learning how to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. If any of you have never stood in a box with a 90-mile-an-hour flying in front of you, you have no idea how fast that is. And then we teach them how to apply everything we teach them from a baseball perspective in life, and how to keep focused and let the peripheral stand aside so you can stay focused, and then let it go and come home and be the awesome person you are with your family.
I mean, you and John, I mean, we could sit and have a whole podcast on just the cool stuff you guys do for the first responders and the hitting for, hitting and healing and just so I always see JB. I talk to him all the time and I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just hitting with this guy right now. I got to call you later, dude. I'm front tossing this guy. I'm like, okay, I call him back. He's like, oh yeah, he was just a veteran. You know what I mean? He wanted to do a little hitting. So he just brought him over my cage. We started hitting a little bit and doing the hitting for healing. And that's kind of how that started. And JB, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it really is, just to see. I've been there when you've actually done it, and to see a little bit of the transformation that people get to feel, and just the connection you have with people is awesome, man. It truly is. I know you've done a lot of that stuff, and when you played in San Diego, I remember one time I went down and watched you. You went over to Coronado, and you did the training with those guys over there. I mean, it's just cool how, the connection, how through baseball you've been able to do all these other things that have been able to help people, man. It makes a difference. It does. It makes a difference. It's really awesome. I think it's because you have these episodes in your life that it's you feel the same way for somebody. Like I got to go, luckily I was able to go over to Bahrain and Qatar under the Patriot missiles. And like we stand there underneath these things and meeting these young children that were like running these things that are the soldiers, and to be able to hear the stories and sit there and hear how at the time I was there with Andre Dawson, like what kid doesn't like Andre the Hawk, right? And of course all the soldiers thought he was cool. I was there with Jeff Conine, Logan Morrison. So it was like I was in awe of them and these missions they were running, and for some reason they thought I was cool just because I played a game. But hearing the stories, like you did what on what mission? Because we were at the base, and just how they just seem so, I don't know, they just seem so heroic. Just like, yeah, we just did this, and I was just like in awe, and so to be able to give back to them and some stuff when they may be having some post-traumatic stress, I got to kind of see it. I didn't have to hear. I got to hear some stories, but some things that I've been trained on, and Allison obviously has got a doctorate in it. Some things that I know it's helped me get to an all-star game. I know it helped me stay at the big leagues. I know it helped me deal with other stresses when I had to use them and lean on more on tools. Because like I said, the yips and things came in. Those neurological tools to help you handle stress and understand that emotions and feelings are okay, and the fact that you're feeling these, it's an okay thing, and it'll help you perform if you understand what's going on and how to regulate them, and it helped my performance stay consistent, and it also helped me not care about the things that I think the world puts on us now. It seemed like they were irrelevant when I was happier with myself with that. That's awesome. And I think those are cool. And I did. I mean, I don't want to exclude Allison. It's both of you doing it, and it's you guys do a great job. And I'm just in awe.
It's mostly Allison. This is all Allison's words coming out, of course.
It's both of you, 100%. I mean, you're throwing the balls, John. So
he throws the balls.
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, it's really awesome to see. It's fun to watch, and I know. I don't know. You guys are putting a game together, right, John? There's a game coming up. Tell us about that game a little bit.
Well, it's in the works. I don't know if we can announce all that right now.
Okay, all right. We'll cut that. Gotta cut it. There's a game.
I don't think we cut anything. We're safe. We're still safe. Just know it's some sort of veteran game I'm working on.
Okay, there's some really cool stuff he's working on.
There's some really cool stuff coming up.
Sorry, I didn't know what I was supposed to mention or not, but
that's all right. Hey, I would start talking. You know me. I'll start.
He did really good. I'm proud of him.
Where'd you find that filter, John?
I don't know. I'm borrowing that. Her words and her filter too. This is all my best behavior because I love all these people here on this call. So we tell him we're under wraps.
Put a bubble in your mouth. Just hold it.
Right.
Here, I know what I want to say is that for John, and I'm going to kind of speak for John a little bit too in this, that we have a really strong why between us, a very, very powerful why. We're family. We're very close. And I'm the oldest of all these boy cousins, and my brother, and then John was next. And I got the privilege of having John and Paul, his little brother, with me all the time. And sometimes when I was 16, it felt a lot. Now, when I look back on it, I absolutely was so glad I had that opportunity. But we have a really strong why in all things that we do, and it's our family, because our family is made up with strong military backgrounds on both sides of each of our families. We have every branch represented in our family, and we have veterans. His dad, my dad, my other uncles. We have, on the other side of that, we also have first responders. Our family has an enormous amount of first responders, everything from being nurses all the way into the law enforcement. And then we also have a sports. A lot of our kids are very sports athletically talented. Obviously, John was, our grandpa was, and so we found a way to bring all of this together. Over the course of John and over our adulthood, we would weave in and out all of these different things, and finally we found a space to bring it together. So we both get emotional, we both get excited, we both get super passionate about what we're doing, and we just want to share with the world and serve people. So it's great that we get to come and be with you in San Diego, and we're really excited for it.
We're excited to have you. I was telling Jeremy, we got pretty lucky to be able to wing you two coming down and spending a couple days with us. You know, I don't.
Well, we got pretty lucky with John. We got really lucky with you.
Thank you.
I think you guys invited her, and I got jealous that she got to come to San Diego. That's probably how. I know that's probably how it happened, but that's okay. I'll come make it fun.
Well, it's going to be a great time. I'm excited to share and provide tools for everybody to learn and how to grow and be a better version of themselves, or whoever they want to be, and have a lot of fun at the same time.
That is awesome. It couldn't deliver a better message for the summit. To help, come down, learn a little bit about yourself, improve yourself a little bit. I mean, because that's really what life's about, right? I mean, that's truly what it's about. So so excited to have you guys.
I have a question for you. I wrote down earlier that I wanted to ask you, Allie, because you said you had your doctorate in leadership development, right?
Yeah, I do.
What led you down that path? I was curious when you wrote it down. I wrote a question mark next to it because I was wondering what pushed you into that. I mean, that's a very
my path.
Yeah,
really specific. It's really specific,
very
right?
specific
Very
path.
specific.
Yeah, so I was interested in that.
And inside of that, when you get a PhD, you take a sliver of something that you're interested in, and you do a deep dive, like super, like 400-page dissertation deep dive on one thing. And I looked at values, and I looked at the values and how we represent values in between conversation and who we are, and more importantly, what kind of values do we have when our back's against the wall? And I put it into a business framework. And so I came up with a regenerative business framework, which allows business people, it's in development, to have, there's 5 capitals in which you can capitalize on in your life that bring you a thriving life, and instead of a sustainable life. So when we sustain something, we actually put a lid on it and we cap it, and there's no room for growth. So we talk a lot about sustainability in the world, which is great, but that's actually a hoarding mentality. We're sustaining our resources. We're not growing them. We're preserving them. We're not using them. So I turn things around, and I want to look at a thriving life. What does it take to make a thriving life, a thriving resources? And that all came to me because I got my bachelor's in education. I worked actually in San Diego, in the San Diego School District, teaching schools, and I worked in the court schools there, and I'd go and collect kids out of the park and make them get to school. I didn't care who they were, what they were. I was going to make sure they got their degree so they could at least get forward in life and get out of the court system.
Yeah.
Slowly moved out of that, had my family, and moved into the nonprofit space. I got a master's in international nonprofit management because I started a school in Mexico for women to have upward career mobility, so that they could actually get a job and keep food on the table because they're so migrant. And I fell in love with coaching at that point. I started coaching other nonprofit leaders in the industry on how to have a thriving business before I even knew really what I was going to go and get a doctorate in. So I did that for a long time. And one day I'm like, oh, I want to go learn more. And so I found that it's actually called values-driven leadership and human development is what I got my degree in. And from there, I started collecting some postdoc certificates in all of these other things like neuropsychology and PTSD and anxiety. So it's kind of like a long answer because it all wraps around itself. I mean, clear back to even when John was talking about the tools that I was helping him with at a young age. I see things very systematically. I'm very results driven, and I can separate and help people separate emotion from logic really quickly, to control the emotion, to make a logical decision that needs to be, and then come back and celebrate it. So it all kind of like vortex into that.
That's awesome. Though. That's fantastic.
So right here, right now on this awesome podcast.
See, with all the military and stuff in our family, what she did is just followed all of us and fixed us and tried to help us all out. That's how she built up her credentials. So all the veterans, first responders in our family, she just went, how do I fix them? And that's Allie for you.
Well, she did a good job, John.
She has. Hey,
awesome.
there's a lot of successful people in our family, and all our military people are like, if you could actually show off the things, they're way cooler than I am. I'm just the guy that plays that unimportant baseball that everybody thinks is important, right? So they're way cooler than I am. And Allie's, her brother is one of them, and obviously our cousins. They're all pretty special people.
Yeah, they are.
That's amazing. That's a great story, Allie. And again, I can't say it enough. We're excited to have you guys and excited to see what goes on. And I think, there's a lot of great loan officers and people down at Veterans First and just everybody there. We've worked with them for many years, and the agents, we're excited for the agents to come in. We got people coming from Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas.
Well, I was excited about this, Jared, because when you and I first started talking, I think why, my part of it is some of the stuff you said you wanted to share. I think what made us good in the off season, how we'd come and regroup and kind of have a mound visit and how to regroup for it. We were kind of talking about that. So I'm excited to share those skills that we kind of together, some of those stuff that we did that I think is why you're there and why you're successful and why you're a leader in our area of Salt Lake here, just as not just at the workplace, but coaching and doing other stuff. I think we share some commonality that just make who we are and why we work together. So I think I'm excited to kind of do one of these with you in a unique way, since we literally had mountain visits together on the field. So, literally be able to have some scenarios that what you and I, since those loan officers, those people are working with you, I think communication was one of those things that we were talking about, and how you and I were able to communicate on the mound and communicate with our teammates. I think being able to share some of that, hopefully we can get some of those between your team. And I really want that to come out because I think that's not to brag, but I think that's why I was a decent catcher. Is I had Allie's skills to be able to pull that out of guys and make them better.
John, you were one of the best, man. I mean, if not the best I ever threw to. I mean, John would be able to turn the intensity up or down, however he needed to turn it up or down based upon how you were throwing. And again, sometimes he needed to turn it up. He needed to get that fire on your feet a little bit. Believe it or not, maybe fire on my feet pitching the last inning wasn't enough, but I don't know. Sometimes I needed it. I truly did. He'd walk up to me and be like, come on, dude, you got to figure it out. I'm like, okay, bro, we're going to figure it out right now. Cause he's a lot bigger than me. So as you guys will see in San Diego.
You know what's funny? Because I work with Jeremy's kids, both hitting. And it's funny because DNA is a weird thing, man. Because you get passed down these traits and it's so funny. It's like Sid, relax. You're like Jeremy, but also it's like, hey, Jeremy, let's get going here, bro. We got to lock it in, buddy. Yep. It's like we are our kids. And it's funny to see those innocent parts of you in hitting the way that I used to try to pull through the mound in certain times. But like what you were just talking. Yeah, it's funny. I'm doing the inflated child version of Jeremy now with both his children. So it never ends as your catcher, Jer.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. As I could always say, thank you. Everybody talks, about, a lot of people ask me about Sid, and she's a great player.
Good, man.
And
Good.
everybody says, "Oh man, she can swing it." And when they say that, I say, "Oh, it's not me. It's JB." You go talk to JB about that. He takes all the credit. I just tell her, "Hey, good job, sweetheart," because he's told me 100 times, "Dude, that wasn't right. You probably shouldn't have said that." Okay, cool, man. So that's what type of friends we
But
are.
I feel like that's
You
dad
just
stuff.
shut up.
Yeah, he's like, dude, Jeremy, maybe you shouldn't have said that. Or
Just like I
sometimes he
said.
gives me the Mount visit of, dude, just shut up, man. Just be quiet. I know you. I've known you since you're 10. So just,
I mean, first of all, you're a pitcher given hitting device, and your daughter's far past you a long time ago, bro. She knows her swing well beyond you ever had contemplations of what you thought you could hit. She's past you, bro.
I was like
She's way past you.
I was a good 275 high school hitter. I mean, I was pretty good. And in Utah, we had a pretty tough group here.
Yeah. I got you. Here we go.
I'm kidding.
He's just he's setting himself up, talking about how he punched all this out.
No. I didn't say any of that.
Here we go. Yeah, you
Bring it
were
back
just
in high school
suggesting.
Kearns and Taylorsville happened to be rivals, even though JB and I played on the baseball academy team, which was a different team, and we were like best buds on the team. Then when we got to play against each other, it was like awesome. Let's get each other. And
Yeah, that's fun.
he hits him out of the park and off the fence pretty hard off me a few times. Even in the alumni game, he did. The last time I faced him, hit a double off the gap and in the gap. And as he's running to second, he says, "I knew you were going to throw it there." Literally as he's running to second. I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks, dude.
I love it.
Well, that's because you were trying to go bust the bat open. Like you always try to do it. You try to do it once a day in the cage.
That's fun.
Once a day. My batting practice guy trying to throw you, trying to break bats.
Those were accidents. I did not know they were going to go in there, dude. I wasn't
sure
that
they
good of
were.
a pitcher. You knew I
Sure they
wasn't
were.
that good of a pitcher. Oh, geez.
That's too
But,
funny.
well,
Yeah, that's you're right. You're probably right on that.
Well, I was going to say the takeaway from that conversation is the communication that you created as a team, right? And that it's a team effort,
Right.
and that you have to learn how to laugh and grow and enjoy each other
fun.
along the way and have fun and laugh at yourself.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
oh,
Well, I think
our environment here, I mean, honestly, is that. I mean, we keep a clubhouse environment here at the best of our ability. I mean, I go back to, and I've said this before, I might have said it on the podcast before. My grandpa owned a business for 68 years. It was a pool hall, a bowling alley, and like a billiards place. And he always told me, Jeremy, people got to make enough money to survive. And you've got to want to come to work. You got to be happy, right? You got to set yourself up, like JB saying, with the pregame and the during game and the post game. You've got to set yourself up for happiness, and that's kind of what that is in my mind. You got to want to show up to work and keep the environment good enough to where everybody's smiling and happy and excited to be there. And that's been important to us, Malone and I, the whole time that we've been doing this. And even we try to extend that to the real estate agents, because it is important.
Right.
So,
and part of that equation of showing up happy at work is also finding balance in your life. And if if all we do is work, we're going to end up not happy because we're not engaging another portion of our life. Our brain, if we want to get really technical, it's our brain that we have to engage. By engaging in other activities, you actually give your brain a break of what you do every day. And when you return back to what you do every day, you actually perform stronger and better. So going and playing golf, going and playing with your kids, or finding a new hobby, or trying something new, at least something new once a month that you've never, ever, ever done before, is actually the biggest way to let your brain catch its breath, because you engage a whole different part of your brain. And that's what we're going to teach a lot of all the people who are coming to San Diego to be with, is part of that, and the reason why it's so important. And it's like, it is like mind blowing and stress relieving to go do something you've always wanted to do and never took time to do. Right. So we've got all sorts of things we're going to be teaching them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
that is awesome. I'm excited. I'm going to learn some new stuff too. You guys come, I'm excited that everybody's RSVP'd for the
Right.
Summit, and we've got a few more spots available if you guys want to come. I know this podcast will be out in a few days, but
very few, but a few more spots left.
Yeah,
yeah, and I'm
awesome. That's exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're really excited. I'm happy. We're happy that we got agents from all over the country too, not just because
That's super cool.
we have so many agents in California that we could have sold this thing out with just California agents and not even sent anybody an invite. But we've got people, like you said, from Pennsylvania, from Texas, from Florida, from I think Jersey. We have one from. I mean, they're coming from all over the place. So it's going to be really cool to meet them all, to kind of teach them all something and put them all kind of on the same wavelengths as to working towards a common goal. I'm excited to learn from the two of you. I have this mantra of control the controllable. That's something that I use all the time. And I'm, I mean, that's something it's been like
that's all you can do.
years I've said that. I used to think about it in a different way when I was younger. And then Craig Manning was the one that came in and put it into the words, control the controllable, like do everything you can. And then you can't worry about it anymore. You can't use any of your brain power. You can't stress about it. If once you've done everything that you can that's within your control, you have to move on. And I apply that to everything in life. I do the best job I can, and then I move on from it, and I don't let it bother that way.
And all the uncontrollables, all you can take them and turn them into opportunities for growth. Sure. Take them and say, okay, what I couldn't control, how can I turn that into an opportunity for growth?
Love
so
it, yeah.
I have a great tool that you are probably going to absolutely love.
Awesome. Excited.
Still to this day, I think I still credit like that hard work, and it's almost like it feels in my soul that it's good because I learned how to work through how hard it was to read. The whole dyslexia thing, like deep in me, some of these tools she's giving me, I know that's why I was a better catcher than most catchers, because I knew how to work hard when it was hard. Now I love it. They're in trouble. Yeah. That's who I am, and that's how falling forward. Like, oh, they're in trouble now. That's hard. That reading was the hardest thing to do in my life. Like I'm really good at catching, so I'll work hard at this. It's easy. So it's a muscle that I feel that it's flexed and things that I enjoy now. Some of these tools that Allie's going to give you. So I'm excited for y'all to get them too.
Yeah, it's like an ultimate confidence builder, right? I mean, when you overcome something that's so difficult, then anything after that, it's like it's a speed bump, right?
It's like it. I think there's one time I know I've said it to Jeremy. Maybe you guys have wake up, challenge me, world, because it'll be, and it's usually I say that after it's like you just got the world just kicked you in the nuts or something, right? So it's like
I've got some great stories.
You can't get me. You can't get me.
I've got some great stories right in that wheelhouse, but we're not going to say them today. We'll talk about them down at the summit, JP. There's a lot of things that you told me that I don't even blew my mind. Blew my mind. I mean, just things that you said, hey, to overcome this, I went and did this, and you're probably knowing what I'm talking about. And I was like, But you get to think about it, you're like, that makes a lot of sense. That really does. And they're just little things. I'm sure a lot of them were from Allie, but they're little things that you did through when you're playing. Now that I'm thinking, light bulbs going off. Oh, Jeremy, I am a little slow. Light bulbs going off. That I'm thinking when you were playing, you were going through a lot of these things. Yeah, man. I've got like 3 or 4 on the top of my head right now, but I'm not going to say them until we get to that summit. So
sounds good. Yeah.
We'll talk about them there, and you'll bring them up and go, man, I remember doing that. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, pretty awesome, you guys. Pretty awesome.
Yep.
Well, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we won't take any more of your time.
Much.
I know you got some other stuff going on too, Allie. And again, thank you so much for coming down. We're excited to see you guys, and look forward to seeing you both on the 3rd. And yeah, appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks. Getting close. Can't wait.
That's that one thing to check out. Since I watched it, was cool. It's kind of the coffee bean effect. Since we're all this, have you seen the thing called the coffee bean?
No.
That talk. So go just check it out. YouTube it. We'll good prime it. It'll be a good little thing. The coffee bean.
Coffee bean. What is it?
Coffee bean talk.
It's coffee bean talk. Yeah, it's a coach from it was this prisoner that has made a promise to his mom that he wouldn't join some gangs and stuff like that. You know, he's a real bad criminal. Can't do the story justice, but promised his mom and speaker helped him kind of put together his story, and he shared with him the coffee bean story, which he's kind of used, and it's spreading like wildfire. But it's right in. It's a good primer for what we got going, guys. Had some tough times and making the most of it, and it's called the coffee bean theory.
Awesome. I'm gonna check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, we can check it out.
Check it out.
Well, we really
Cool.
appreciate you guys. You guys are studs and awesome.
Studsettes.
Studette. I was going to say studette, but it didn't just. I went awesome.
I was
Just awesome.
Awesome.
Allie, you're awesome, man. I'm not kidding. You sat there and you were telling us all the stuff you've done, and I'm going, why are we even talking to John? What's going on?
I told you invited her. You just brought me along to be fun.
He is the funnest guy in the room. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
He is the funnest guy in the room every chance he gets, whether there's like 12-year-old
Always.
boys and he's still the funnest guy in the room, or 40-year-old, 50-year-old veterans that have, John's still the funnest guy in the room. He's still the funnest guy in the room, no matter what. Yeah. It's awesome.
I don't know. Sometimes that guy's the obnoxious one. I don't want to be that guy. Always the fun. I want to be able to blend in a room every once in a while.
Dude,
Not
you're like
likely.
6'4" and built like
It
a
doesn't
Greek
work.
god. I don't think
It
you're
doesn't.
gonna blend in anywhere.
No.
Nope.
You're probably not
It
gonna
doesn't
blend
happen.
in. You're a pretty big guy.
Maybe there'll be some jack guy at the summit. All your loan officers, they come in. Said you got some athletes out there. Maybe they'll roll in. They'll make me look normal.
The blending in theory is probably not going to work for you. I just like the one you got right now, just being you, brother. Just being you.
I
and being a
love
happy person.
He's an awesome person, so
He
it's
is.
all good.
We appreciate
He's my favorite.
All right, moving on.
Well, thank you guys. We don't want to tie you up too long.
Thank
We're looking forward to it. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you in April.
All right.
So
Thanks,
excited.
fellas.
Thank you so much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Take care.
it.
Have a great day.
Have a good week. Bye.